Hello, Lafayette Lions. This is Mrs. Galicchio here to teach you about area. What is area? Area is the number of square units needed to cover the surface of a polygon. In other words, it's the inside area surface. Perimeter, as we've learned, is measuring around a polygon, around the outside. The area is the measurement of the square units inside. Now, when might you need to use area? Well, for a picture, you would use perimeter to measure around for the picture frame, but area would be used to measure how big you need the picture to be that you're going to paint to fill in the center. You might also use area if you are putting down tiles or some other type of flooring in your house. You might need it if you are laying grass in your yard, if you are painting a wall or putting up wallpaper in your house. So lots of different projects you would need to know the area of something. How do you find area? To find area, you in third grade can count the squares inside of an object. For example, this one. We count the squares inside. And we have 5 square units. We can write it like this, 5 square units, or 5 units squared, with a little 2 up in the air like that. That's how we write squared. This object, I know that each square is equal to 1 square inch. So I will count these up in inches. And you might see a square or rectangle and think, this reminds me of an array like we learned about in multiplication. And it is. So to find out how many squares are inside of this, 3 rows of 3 columns, I could do 3 times 3 to find the answer of 9 square inches. We can only do that when it's a square or rectangle, but it's still pretty fun to use our knowledge of arrays to help us find the answers. Now you can do some of these problems with me if you have some square tiles or blocks or even Cheezits will work in making these different polygons and finding their area. All right, let's go back to perimeter and area. To find the perimeter, I add up every side. So in this array, this rectangle, I have 5 square units across the top, and then 3 rows of that. 3 in each column. So I would do 5 plus 3 plus 5 plus 3, which would give me 16 units for the perimeter. For the area, I count how many squares are inside this rectangle, which I could count by ones all the way through. There's 5, and here's another 5. Or I can use my multiplication skills because this is in a rectangle shape and it has 5 in each row, and there are 5 in each column, and there are 3 rows. So I can do 3 times 5, 5, 10, 15. to get 15 square units. In this next slide, I'm going to show you in Cheez-Its how we can get it. So in the first one, to get the perimeter, we count around the Cheez-Its. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And then inside, I count up how many Cheez-Its I used, and it was 16 as well. So my perimeter is 16 Cheez-Its, and my area is 16 square Cheez-Its, or Cheez-Its squared. Let's see if you can practice going around this one for the perimeter. Have you got it? That's right. 10 units, or 10 Cheez-Its. And the area, how many Cheez-Its did I use? Whole square Cheez-Its. 1, 2, 3, 4. So my area is 4. Sometimes your area could be the same as your perimeter. Sometimes it happens to be less than the perimeter, especially when it's an odd shape like this, and I have to it takes a lot more to go all the way around all these things than it does to count the inside. But the area is automatically going to use more of whatever you're using because it is square units. So it's this full square. All right, let's do the next one. 16 Cheez-Its all the way around, but the area is 9. Let's see if you can do this next one on your own. That's right, the perimeter is 16 again, and the area? How many Cheez-Its did I use inside to cover up the surface? 4, 3 more, 7, and then a 2, and another one is, that's right, 10. Good, so let's see you do the next one. Again, we have a perimeter of 16, but how many Cheez-Its did I use? What is the area? 8 Cheez-Its squared. How about the perimeter of this one? This time the perimeter is 8 and the area is 4. What about the perimeter of this one? It's just one Cheez-It. Let's count around. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 units around, and the area is 1. Now, what about if we have half units? Now, half units we don't see that often, in third grade especially, but it could happen sometimes. And if that's the case, see how this one is not a full square unit, but this one would go right here and fill in that to make it a whole. I can count these two together as one whole square. So 1 square unit, 2, 3, and then put these two together to make 4 square units. Then for this one, I can count up my whole square units. That is also 4. Then I can put this half together. It reminds me of our fractions lessons where 1/2 plus 1/2 equals 1 whole. So this would make 1 whole. And these two can be added together to create 1 square unit. And in total, it would be, that's right, 6 square units. How about this one? Count up your whole squares inside and then add these two halves together. Yes, 5 units squared, or 5 square units. We say units when we don't know what the measurement is, but sometimes it will tell us this is equal to, one square is equal to 1 square foot or 1 square mile. If we're looking at distances on a map or at how far it is, how big a country is, or a continent even. We've been learning about geography. So we'll use square units sometimes that when we don't know what unit it's measuring by, but sometimes you will know the unit and you make sure that you're counting by that. So let's pretend that this one is measuring in square feet. So we add up these 4, and then this half and this half can go together to make 1, and this one can go together to make 1 whole unit, which will equal 6 square feet, or 6 feet squared with the little 2 up above it. So great job. Make sure you take really good notes. If you need to rewind it or watch it again, do that. And you will use these notes next week when you have your test on perimeter and area. Great job.